Hey everybody, and welcome to virtual San Diego Comic-Con with Daniel Warren Johnson. I just want to take this time and thank you guys so much to everybody who sent me their portfolio. I am making my way through them as best that I can. I got a lot of them. If I haven't responded, I am sorry. I can't respond to everybody. I literally got that many responses. But I am looking through every single one, and I'm reaching out to those that I think would be a good fit for this portfolio review. Leading us to Edison Neo, awesome artist from Singapore, and we're just gonna get right to it. We're gonna talk about his work. I'm linked to his work down below. Please support him as best you can, and thank you, Edison, for joining us today, and thank you for being here. Hopefully, everybody has a good weekend. Bye bye. Hey everybody, we are recording. I'm recording now. Sorry, this is the first time that I've done this, and I have my iced coffee here, and I have this amazing artist, Edison Neo, with me. Say hi, Edison. I don't know.
Hi.
I don't want this to be awkward because I've never done this. I've never recorded.
Okay.
I'm so good with people usually one-on-one, but like with technology, it's so much more complicated.
Yeah.
But I saw Edison's work, and I thought it was awesome, and I also thought it would be a great way for us to kind of dive into how to make dynamic action scenes and help Edison with some of the storytelling devices that I see that you're going for, Edison. So that's the intro. Everybody else knows about me, but okay, let's shift into Edison mode because
Okay, sure.
I just want to before we talk about your art, maybe if you could just kind of tell us where you're located and I don't know, your art background. Just give us the down low.
Okay. So where I'm from Singapore. If anyone doesn't know, is in Southeast Asia. So it's completely opposite part of the world where you are from.
Seriously, it's almost like a 12, like a straight opposite day difference.
Yeah. So right now it's quite late at night, and if you look on the map, I don't think you can actually find it. You have to really zoom in on Google Maps. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
But power of technology, right?
Okay. So, when did you start making art? I guess is what
Okay. So basically, I've always been sketching around and drawing around. Always inspired by comic book stuff like Marvel comics and DC. But around 3 years ago, I just decided to, take it seriously and really dive into perspective, anatomy, and stuff like that. So around 3 years ago, I started to really, try to dedicate my time to actually learn the art of making comics and how do I get a page done and stuff like that. And yeah.
Okay. What are some of your I guess so as we're beginning to look through your portfolio, can you just talk to me about some of your influences, maybe artistically, or it could be anything, books, movies, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, okay, definitely. Okay. I mainly I started out reading comics just for the storylines, and after getting into comics deeper and deeper, I started getting attracted more to the artwork rather than the stories. And my number one favorite artist, Stuart Immonen.
He's great.
Chris Samney.
Yes.
And definitely your work as well. And in fact, I think the comic that we're gonna talk about soon, I started working on it right after I finished reading Murder Falcon. Yeah, I was so inspired. I had to do something similar, and I think you can tell from the sound effect, the SFX and the lettering. I was trying to copy that as much as I can. Yeah.
Okay, dude, that's
So it's kind of crazy for me right now talking to you.
Well, I mean, that's so flattering. I really appreciate that. I'm glad
Yeah,
you mentioned some serious legends, um,
yeah,
Chris Somney and Opena, and that's awesome.
yeah,
Okay, well, good on you
yeah,
for kind of diving in 3 years ago and like
yeah.
really going for it. I think that's awesome, and I think the work that you've put in shows. And so we're gonna go take a look at it together, and with your permission.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna actually share my screen with you if I can.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can. We'll see. Just share screen. Okay, here we go. Can you see my screen okay?
Right now, no. Oh yeah. Oh
Okay,
yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we've got page one.
Yeah.
And does this have a
I did not put a background color.
oh yeah, sorry. That's my fault.
Like,
Don't worry about that, everybody. He sent me a very professional PDF, and then I hacked it apart and put it into Photoshop so we could edit it if we wanted to, or I could like draw over it easily. So this is definitely a Daniel Warren Johnson bad. This is not Edison's fault. Okay, so does this have a title like this, like 5-pager?
oh yes. Yeah. It's actually 22 page comic that I'm working on. It's called the 13 Carriages of
Awesome.
Death. So it's like it's inspired by all the kung fu movies.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay,
Yeah.
let's start breaking it down.
Yep.
First off, I'm digging this train. My favorite thing, I'm going to zoom out a little here.
Yeah, sure.
My favorite thing on this page is definitely this panel right here.
Okay.
I think this is really awesome.
Thanks.
I can see the little Tetsuro Ueyama squiggles here.
Yeah,
Dude, that's awesome.
that's completely copied from
Hey.
you, man.
Dude, I copy from so many people. You know, I basically steal from every manga artist out there. Okay, so I think
Yeah.
first off, your faces and your expressions, rock solid. I think these are great. Right
Thanks.
here, right here, fantastic work. Now, my first thing that I notice that's taking me out of this a little bit is the train is going this way, right? Now, if we follow the train here, we are still having a little bit of trouble because it looks like it's going this way. Does that make sense?
Ah. Yeah,
Okay,
it does.
so first off, I'm having to make so this is like something that will get in the way of storytelling, because I can tell you put time into drawing this train, right? So you don't want to do your story a disservice, because when I first read this, I had to re-look at panel 1
Okay.
and say, okay, this main character, Snake Claws, he's looking this way, right?
Yeah.
And the train is moving this way. And that's a cool dynamic. But since he's so small, we're not picking this up immediately. So when we move down to panel 2, it looks like the train is switching directions.
Ah, it's okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So obviously I don't want to like tell you what to do here, but this is just how I would solve that, right? So here you have, and this is important, right? You made this decision because the train, you want like people to, hey, there's about to be a kung fu fight on the top of a train. That's friggin' awesome. But since it's going this way, oh, sorry. Here we're maintaining, it's a little bit easier for us to see the same thing, right? Obviously, it's not as dynamic, right? Because what you had before, I should have put it on a separate layer, but I didn't, but sorry. So you're going like, you were going from extreme like outside shot to a like
Yeah.
extreme close up, and that's awesome because it's super dynamic. But sometimes you have to make like these choices for clarity,
Okay.
and I will say this. I'll say this. I say this to a lot of people when I do portfolio reviews. Is you are constantly balancing these two things: dynamics and clarity. And
Mm-hmm.
with that second panel, you're going hard dynamics, which is awesome, right? Because you want things to be exciting, but you also need to make sure it's super clear. And like, dude, it's not the end of the world, right? Somebody reads this
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Oh, okay. It took me like a few more seconds maybe than normal, but it still makes sense. Like, it still totally works." But the goal is, and I'm thinking of Chris Somni here, is like you're literally going like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Like maybe not that fast, but that's like the clarity, the beats, right? And here we've got bam. This is solid. Bam. Solid. Love it. So let's go to page 2.
Sorry, can I ask a question about page 1 though?
Hit me.
Would it help if, of course, I was thinking about it on page 1, right? Would it help if the second panel was a tall panel instead?
That is another great idea.
Yeah, or maybe if the smoke is on the top of the panel or something,
That's
so that you can
yep.
the smoke kind of tells you that the train is in front.
That could totally work.
Yeah, just a question.
Yeah, I mean, another thing you could do is you could change panel 1. So you could make panel 1 maybe a zoomed out version of the panel 2.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Okay.
And like I said, there's a million, or I didn't say this, but there's a million different ways to get to the same place. So this is just like one suggestion. My point being is that panel 2, it was just taking me a few more seconds than normal to like suss it out and like figure it out. So keep it in mind.
Cool. Thanks.
Let's go to page 2. I love this panel. This is great. This is so here we've got 2 really nicely drawn panels. Now, this is partially personal preference. This is me, like just this is what I would do, but you have a really intense scene. Things are moving fast. You want the readers to feel the intensity of like 2 people on a train about to be in a fight, right?
Yeah.
I think this should be up here.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, like,
and then squeeze.
like because you still have there's so much room here. Sorry, I'm just kind of hacking this part here, but
Go ahead.
obviously you'd move this guy over a little bit, but you have this room for this intensity with the speed lines, which is great, and then you have a small panel, which is like, so you have this big like, you killed my master, and then we cut to small panel, introspective, right? Because there's almost nothing happening in this panel. The subtlety of the acting, which you have nailed, is like, oh my god, like I don't have time for this shit, right? And then, sorry, my daughter is. Then, boom.
Yeah. Got it.
And also this guy in the drawing, he was way too close to the edge. You need for that to breathe, because dude, this shot is awesome. Love it.
Thanks.
But look at the timing. Boom, boom. Like it just.
Yeah. Right.
And you know what I really like about your work is your acting is just fantastic, and I really like the way you draw hands. This is really great. One thing that I might suggest for panel 4 is, like just maybe some more speed lines just to imply the movement. I mean, it's not super important. One thing, if you you need this space for the lettering, but you kind of have almost the same size here. You could, let's see. You could just
I see. Okay.
You could just get a little closer,
Yep.
like really in his eyes. This
Mm-hmm.
is awesome. This is really nice. I like this shot a lot. And then here, okay, so there, in my opinion, take everything I say with a grain of salt because
Yep. No problem.
there's a lot of space here
Okay.
in this panel. Okay. I personally would want to see something like this. Sorry, that's kind of hard to see. Let me do this over again.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if I actually knew how to use Photoshop. Okay.
I see.
Okay, so see the changes we've made now?
Sure.
Sorry. Zoom out. Boom, boom. Gives us a chance to like really soak it in, get in the moment. Then we're back to it with these emotions, these expressions. Boom, boom, boom. Now the intensity is really, and we're really focused in on it, right? So we've started medium, we've gone intimate, we've gone wide, now we're getting a little closer. Now we're back to the kind of medium shot where we're like, okay, here's what's still happening, and then boom, real close, and we're getting that. We're getting intense, right? To page 3. So obviously, this is I'm a little worried. Like I want you to tell stories your way, and I don't want to like try and tell you like the Daniel Warren Johnson way, but you're a good enough storyteller that we're getting past the clarity and we're getting into like how to make things sexier, if that makes sense.
Okay. That's all I want to learn, man.
So this is page 3. Awesome. First thing off the bat, this should not be touching this guy's head. Okay?
Okay.
It's like I appreciate what you're trying to do because you're trying to sell the almost impact, right? But the fact of the matter is the way it's drawn, it's just a little, it's awkward to me.
Okay.
I'm not sure how you'd figure this out. I like what you're going for here. What I might do, I know this is super extreme, but notice how much more intense this guy on the left looks now. Like he looks like he's still in control. Here, you know.
Okay, yeah,
does that make sense?
I see that. Yeah.
So I would make this guy a little bigger. Maybe not as big as I made him, but that also gives you a little more room for him to, because the idea is that, at least from what I gather from these 5 pages, is that this Kung Fu Master guy, he's like the bee's knees, right? He is the ultimate badass. So it's not so important that what this guy is doing. It's just that he's trying to attack, right? He's trying to attack this dude who's just going to get his ass kicked, or he's trying to attack this dude, and this guy's going to get his ass kicked, which I like that dynamic. This is awesome. I think this is really fun. I would not do this, but I think that's great. One thing, the dodge. Let's make that smaller.
Okay.
Because it's getting in the way of the dynamics between the two characters. It's like it's too close to them. And with the Fwish, I would, I would kind of like stretch these out more. So it's like, kind of like they're a little more in perspective, like they're getting a little bigger as it gets closer to you. I think this is awesome. I might even, let's see if this works.
Blow it up.
No, I don't know that it works. This
I kind of felt this panel had a bit too much space.
It does have a lot of space, but it's cool because the it's almost like drawn like you would draw like a comedy scene, in the sense that it's
Yeah.
like the dynamics are very low, and I think it's cool because it just shows how little this guy is trying to, and he's totally kicking his butt. I think that's awesome. Okay. So, it took me a second to figure out what you're doing here, and I was trying to figure out like ways to help you sell this, because this is hard. This is what you're trying to do, very difficult, and I appreciate you going for it. This, him flying. Okay, is he flying up into the air? Is he flying to the side? Is he flying forward? Is he flying backwards? Is he flying off the train? So immediately, right, we are in confusion. And so it's like so it's like here, very clear, confused. The reader is like, okay, what's happening? And then we're coming from, instead of a solid like, I know what's happening, into this badass move. Sorry, I need to. So from confusion, now the readers are trying to get back into the moment. They're like, okay, what's happening? Is he flying? Oh, so the character moving from here to here took me a second to figure out. Right?
Okay.
So, I think this panel is great, by the way. Let's just... Oh my gosh. Whoops. Okay. So let's start from scratch here. Here we've got, he's getting kicked, right? They're on top of the train. I think we need another wide shot.
Okay.
Because because what you're trying to do with that, like him running to the other side and then elbowing him, it's like, it's so cool, but like you kind of have to spell it out for people, because it's like, it's, so many different things are happening, right?
Yeah. It's like a Dragon Ball.
Yeah. So here, what I'm seeing is it's basically like, here's the master guy, and
I see.
and you can play with the poses, right? But we're just talking about shapes right now, right? Then, now we have to get into it, right? We gotta like... Boom, then maybe we cut to him running, and then we have that same shot.
Okay.
And what you can do here, so you know how you have these kind of like action lines with the train? You can do that on top. See how that sells it?
Yeah, that looks much clearer.
So actually in here I'd actually change this so that we could like see all the legs, if that like so we can really know, so we can get a good shot at like the color of his outfit, so people know that it's the master that's running. Bam. And then we can end with, obviously, have to figure out how to make it work, but there's still room. I mean, we're getting tight, but You know, and we could play with it, right? But you see, like, okay,
Yeah.
boom, he's flying this way. We can see now. We can like kind of maybe even focus in on master here. This is just like you could do anything here, you know. Boom.
Yeah.
We're going off, zoom, and then crack. So
Nice.
again, this is just. I'm hoping this gives you a sense of like the problem solving that, you know, this is what I do when I'm like thumbnailing stuff out, is I'm trying to basically get everything together and making sure it makes sense. And this bottom panel is so freaking badass. And the idea is that when you put this much work into this cool idea, it has to follow all the way through, which I see you trying to do, and you're almost there. All right, let's go to page 4. I love this. Elbow of the mating gorilla. That move is forbidden. So awesome. I think that's so fun. Love the yawn. Love this zoom in here. This is great. This is awesome. I love the intensity of this drawing here. Now, here's something that I was saying. When I first saw this, I thought that he had 2 thumbs, who was the guy who was doing the claw, because of this, how like intense the goatee is.
Yeah.
So I think maybe what you might want to do is have the face and make sure it like looks bored, so he looks like he's not getting hit.
Yeah.
Because the panel looks a little awkward the way it was.
Yeah.
So, because you know, as I kind of said before, people are reading like da 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 da, and they're just gonna be like, "What is that?" And you just don't want that hesitation from the reader, especially in a scene like this. You just want to be rolling, bop 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 bop. Okay. Here, I like this. This is a cool panel. With this huff panel.
Yeah.
Whenever you do an upshot, it gives the impression that this person is in a powerful spot, right? You know, whenever you see like hero shots and stuff, it's always like Captain America. The camera's like way low, and he's got a shield. And if you're trying to sell the fact that this guy is friggin' toast,
okay. I see.
like, oh boy, like the camera's down.
Yep.
He's having a hard time, right?
Yeah, got it.
And here, I think this is really cool, and I think it does help that the tattoo is behind the head here, but I don't think this should be a silhouette. I think this should be this guy's colors.
I see.
Silhouettes, I think, are great and can be used for great effect, but especially when you are doing these like really intense, you're like pushing the limits of what we expect as in a comic as far as fight scene goes, you need to just use all the tools at your disposal to make sure that everybody knows what's happening. And if color is the way to do it, use color. Overall, though, I think this page is a slam dunk.
Thanks.
Oh, dude, this panel's awesome. Okay, so remember we were talking about clarity versus dynamics.
Yeah.
This panel is really, really cool, and it's just feeling a little squished to me. And again, I'm really starting to nitpick here, right? I wouldn't mind having this, you know, adjusting it in a way so that it just can breathe a little more. Maybe he's just a little bit smaller. There's a million different ways to do it. I love the way you've incorporated the line work. I think a little bit less on the white would be great. I think some white over the figure. That's something that I do not do. I never cover my figures because I work so hard on them. Good for you. I would maybe do a little less white. Okay. If we now moving on to panel 2. If we were to black this out, I'm gonna make my brush a little bigger. Just let's do silhouette here.
Okay.
Okay, that's not reading well at all. what we want to have is this. See how much better that reads? Like,
Yep.
immediately.
Okay.
Something to think about.
Yep.
These eyes are awesome, but we need to zoom out a little bit or see some hair, color of hair, whatever. Just, I mean, dude, it's awesome, right? You're going hard dynamics, but with those dynamics, you need clarity, and any way that we can get clarity, we want to do. This panel, I can't really feel this impact because he's so small. This, I see this being a, oh. Oh, that's too big. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure what works here. I like the way you do action scenes, and I like your impacts, but this just feels awkward to me. I think you really need to follow up this panel here, over here, with a very clear shot of him holding on to the leg. From what I would think is like a top-down view. I think this panel, the Ready to Die, I think that's awesome. Bigger.
Yeah.
You know, because like his eyes are changing. Oh, sorry. Ready to Die.
Yep.
Ready to Die. Yeah, already way better.
Yep.
Here, let's bring this guy up. Again, clear silhouette. He's too close to the bottom of that panel. This is like a weird tangent. I don't know if you can see what I'm going for here, but like here's his leg and his, you know, and it looks like he's just kind of like levitating, which if that's what you're going for, that's cool. But I would rather see something a little more dynamic where he's like tucking his legs up, you know.
Yeah.
It's little things like that, right? Where, you know, again, the most important thing is clarity, but man, you want it to look like, you want it to snap.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Right.
This panel is like ultimate badass, but you're kind of like, and I can tell because you're like trying to figure out how to draw these things, and it's not easy. I struggle with it too. You're starting off so good, but you lose strength as you move through the middle of the page. I think this is a great reset. I love these wide shots. Sorry I strong here, but I think this is a really nice panel as well. Also, this is a little small thing. When you're coloring, make sure not to over-render this background because it's going to get in the way of what's going on in the foreground.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out. So.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. Ultimately, Edison, I think that you have a really cool knack for like action storytelling, and
thanks.
I really enjoyed reading this, and it was the perfect combo of seeing somebody that can tell a story, and there's just like you have some few things that you need to work on to like bring it up to that next level. But they're subtle things, right? It's not like we can all get better at like drawing things and faces and shoulders or whatever, but like it's ultimately about what you're going for. And they're little subtleties, like, you know, that little like leg tuck with the master, the way that you frame a shot. Like, it doesn't matter how well you can draw. If it's composed well, it's gonna sing, and you're really close. So I forgot that I have a doctor's appointment and I have to go. Dude, tell people where they can find you. Are you on social media? What are you working on? Things like that. Go.
Yep. Okay, so I'm on Instagram. You can find me at NeoComicArt, NeoComicArt. And currently what I'm working on is this comic. I I finished the inks for all the pages.
Awesome.
And I'm like halfway through the colors, so I have about 10 pages left to color, and I hope to publish it in some form once it's done. Yeah,
Congratulations on
called the 13 Carriages of Death.
awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations on working so hard, man. This looks awesome. I'm going
thanks.
to include links to all of Edison's work in the text below. Please comment. Please give him some support. Please check out his stuff. And I just want to thank Edison for being willing to have himself be recorded today.
No problem.
Dude.
It's an honor, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you being here, and thanks so much.